Welcome back to Real. I'm Grayson.
And I'm Zeke. Grayson! Today we'll be talking about a total classic among the horror genre. We're going to be discussing the movie Halloween, the 1978 version, the first of many films in the Halloween franchise. But before that, let's check out the trailer.
The one, the only, the classic Halloween. Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. Michael?
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I think he'll come back.
Exploring uncharted territory.
Totally charted.
Just talk.
Sure.
Now, in case you've been living under a rock, Halloween is a movie that came out in 1978 about a psycho killer named Michael Myers who escapes from a mental hospital and goes on a killing spree. Right, real creative. But when this movie first came out, though it wasn't the first slasher horror, it brought a lot of eyes and curiosity onto the genre and made it the way it is today, inserting Michael Myers and Halloween into the big three of horror.
Halloween was both written by Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, and directed by John Carpenter himself. He also took on several other roles in the film, which we'll get to later. John Carpenter and Deborah Hill would stick together to write films for many years. They produced and wrote films such as Escape from New York, The Fog, Escape from L.A., and John Carpenter would also go on to write other films like In the Mouth of Madness. And of course, another classic that's up there with Halloween is The Thing, a horror sci-fi film about a bunch of researchers stepping foot in Antarctica, in which they discover a terrible shape-shifting creature, and the researchers have to make sure it never escapes. But that's a film for another day.
Carpenter also ended up making that famous track that today I still play on a speaker while I scare kids who are trick-or-treating at my house.
And with all that being said, let's take a look at some behind the scenes.
Spring 1978. Two young filmmakers, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, began shooting a film about a babysitter being stalked by evil incarnate. Shot in 20 days, On a budget of just over $300,000, the film went on to make over $50 million, and until recently was the highest-grossing independent movie ever. It's influenced a generation of filmmakers and film-goers, and its title has become synonymous with movie horror: Halloween. Today, Deborah Hill is a player, one of the busiest producers in LA, but she remembers Halloween.
What I like about horror films is the fact that they really get you to react. For me, the films were a way to kind of leap from reality into some sort of great fantasy.
We're all afraid of the same things. We're all born afraid of death, of loss of loved ones, loss of abandonment from our parents, pain, injury. All of it is the same. We're all afraid of the same things, which makes a movie that deals in our fears universal.
One of my first jobs was a script supervisor working on a movie called Goodbye, Norma Jean. And then I met John Carpenter when he directed Assault on Precinct 13. And I was his script supervisor and assistant editor. And then we decided to collaborate on Halloween. Irwin Yablans actually came up with the idea of setting it in Halloween. And we were searching for a story, you know, what could the story be? And because we were very limited, in fact, they wanted babysitters. So, and I'd been a babysitter, and I had all these great stories. But when he called and came up with the brilliant idea of using the themes of Halloween to tell our story, it was like a gold mine.
When making the movie and looking for a scary mask, Carpenter went out and bought a William Shatner Star Trek mask and painted it white, making the iconic Michael Myers mask.
While Halloween wasn't the first slasher film, it would be so influential that it would be the one that would essentially kick off the slasher genre of horror, inspiring many others.
Back when making the movie, Carpenter and Hill both wanted to make a new movie and story every year for Halloween, but Michael Myers was so iconic that they ended up making sequels to the first movie. You can see this idea in Halloween 3, which is about killer masks and not Michael Myers specifically.
This movie came out and turned into an instant classic and led to 13 sequel movies that got restarted multiple times across 4 timelines, one of which is directed by Rob Zombie, but unfortunately most of which don't even come slightly close to holding up against Carpenter's timeless classic. Now to commercial. Welcome to the video production program at Hennepin Technical College. Students have the opportunity to use industry standard equipment to create the films and podcasts of their dreams. This is our studio where we do our reel-to-reel podcast every Friday. Hennepin Tech has 2 computer labs where students can learn all the skills of editing and learn all the software as well. The studio has a green screen which allows our students to have full creative control and make whatever they want, wherever they want. Your future awaits. Start your journey at Hennepin Technical College. So, Grayson, what did you think of the movie, and where did you go and see it?
When I first saw it, I was hanging out with my friends. It's a classic. I mean, you can't not love this movie for what it is.
What did you think about the tension of the movie? Was it able to hold itself well with the tension?
I think after you've seen this movie several times, the tension doesn't really hold up, but I also think that every horror movie has this problem, you know?
Yeah.
The tension still holds up today on that first viewing.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the writing and such for it? Because to me, it has that sort of like corny 1970s type writing and such, where it's not like methodical on the way it sort of presents itself through the writing, but it gives it like that sort of like cheesy, almost like Hallmark type feel through the writing for me.
For sure, for sure. But I feel like that cheesy 70s writing is kind of part of the appeal.
Yeah.
You know, you watch that movie and you're like, that they talk really silly and funny, and that kind of works to it.
How did you think the acting? Do you think like Jamie Lee Curtis and
I think Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in this movie is phenomenal. Really good.
I really liked the actor who played Tommy, because he was able to get the sort of annoying type sidekick character trope done really well. But I don't know, it's just something about that 70s bowl cut haircut and just the way he acted. I just hated the kid throughout the entire film. I don't know. It just it seemed weird. What are your thoughts on the sort of the kill count, or the kills throughout the film? The
kills are, all of them are classic, really. I mean, my favorite one is one that they've recreated multiple times, and they stick the guy to the door. I don't think a butcher knife would be able to hold a person up. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
I don't think
it's pretty cool. And Michael Myers' reaction is the same as mine when I saw that the first time. He's kind of like, huh.
I also like
and makes that head tilt happen.
I also kind of like the cheesy fake out death of Michael Myers that you see, where Dr. Loomis
7 times.
He runs up, shoots him, and then shoots him again and again and again and again and again, and it's like 6 or 7 times.
Mind you, in this movie, in the first Halloween, Michael Myers is still a normal person. He gets shot like 4 times. He gets stabbed with a wire hanger. He gets stabbed with a knife.
He falls out of a 2nd-story window.
Right.
And within 3 seconds is able to
up and gone. This man's, he's built different.
Unbelievable.
He's built different.
Unbelievable. I don't get it. Ugh. But that also brings to me, like, you've seen all of the other
I've seen
Halloween
every
movies.
Halloween movie, yes.
Does it sort of track with him being this kind of, like, timeless, almost entity throughout the film? Or at least in this sort of movie, they tried to at least kind of keep it somewhat grounded to him being a man. But I've heard that, you know, it makes him more like this supernatural entity that just is an unstoppable force and can't be killed.
Yeah. I don't know. It changes a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Personally, I love this movie. I actually went in the Halloween Horror Nights haunt for this movie last time I was in California. The music and shots are so iconic and created the characters we know and love today. The kills, like Michael using the knife to stick someone in the wall, creating that creepy head tilt. Nick Castle's performance as Michael is unforgettable. Dr. Loomis and Laurie Strode as well, giving way to a long career for Jamie Lee Curtis. A permanent and timeless classic, always gets a 5 out of 5 reels for me.
This movie was nice. There was beautiful cinematography. I love the opening scene going from the pumpkin to a POV of someone breaking into the house. And the scene where Michael Myers walks behind the shrub is a classic shot. For a 40-plus-year-old movie with such a small budget, they really put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, especially with the soundtrack. It's amazing. I also love the 70s trope for bullying, where the actors playing the bullies could be the literal stand-in for the one who actually is being bullied. Some of the scenes went on for way too long though, and it just wasn't scary at times, and it just sort of made it awkward. The writing is on par with how 70s movies usually are, and the plot is really, okay. I wish I went into this movie knowing less, because I wasn't that scared, but I felt like young Jamie Lee Curtis would have made an excellent live-action Peppermint Patty, and that the Doctor is the perfect spitting image to play the live-action version of the boss elf from the 1964 claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
All right, well, that's all for our show. Get out there and trick-or-treat tonight. Watch out for psycho killers, and have a happy Halloween.
Oh, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like and comment what you're dressing up as this Halloween. This is Zeke, signing off.